Down to the Jankyard, it's JT. It's time for a deck tech. And we're going to be checking out a fun one I've been playing with a bit on stream. Remember, if you want to watch our stream, we stream Wednesdays and Sundays and sometimes other days. That's at twitch.tv/JankyardMTG. And so for this deck, I've been playing around with it, and it's actually had some success, and it's been fun to play. That's the biggest thing for me. It's a lot of fun. And I'm calling it Rogues Gallery. And what it is essentially is Rogue Tribal. Now, the whole reason I, started cooking this deck up was to play this guy, Robber the Rich. This just seemed, it's a mythic that does weird things, and it's fun. When it attacks, if defending player has more cards in hand than you, exile the top card of their library during any time you attacked with a rogue. You may cast that card, and you may spend mana over mana of any color to cast that spell. I love, I remember playing Gonti a few years ago and other stuff like this. I love cards that steal from my opponent's deck. But when I read that, it doesn't say Robber the Rich has to attack. It says with a rogue. So this prompted a little thought process on my part of, well, how many rogues are there in Standard? Turns out quite a few, and a couple of really fun mythic rogues from Throne of Eldraine. Robber the Rich being the one. The other one we'll get to in a minute. So let's take a look at this deck. In Standard, we start with just a couple of ops. Not going crazy on opt. Just a little bit of card draw to help smooth things out. I wanted more creatures, so, we just went with the two. 3 Faerie Duelist. Faerie Duelist is great just to flash in on your opponent's end step, or to flash in when your opponent is about to swing with something, and maybe you're not going to block, but if they're swinging with a 2-2 or a 2-3, suddenly they're swinging with 0 power. So that's kind of fun. And the Duelist, also a rogue. Speaking of rogues, apparently a lot of fairies are rogues. Metropolis Sprite. And another one that if you have the extra mana, you can buff it up. And I'll show you in a minute how you can buff it up even more. Then we have Nightveil Sprite. Nightveil Sprite's really handy because Surveil is nice. There isn't a lot of card draw in this deck. So having that ability to scry and dig through your deck a little bit to set up your draws, it's quite nice. Orzhov Enforcer. Not a bad creature. It's nice to have a Death Toucher, and again, a rogue, and Nightveil Sprite, also a rogue. Everybody in here is a rogue. Orzhov Enforcer, a great little rogue. Death Toucher, when it dies, you get a spirit. Not a bad thing. Then we have the Robber, who the whole reason we started this. Red is, as you see, red is a splash in this deck. I have quite a bit of red mana sources, but still not huge. So every once in a while, he just has to sit in our hand. But most of the time, we're able to get that one red mana source early on. And if we can hit on turn 2, a lot of times, they haven't done much. You've got less cards in hand, and you're able to hit something off them. If you hit a land, you never get to see it, because it says cast. You may cast that card. So if it's a land, you don't get to play it. It just stays in exile. But maybe your opponent needed it. Well, that's too bad. It stays in exile. But otherwise, you can get it. And I've been able to cast a couple big things down the line a few turns later once I've had some more land. And it's worked really well. So I really like Robber the Rich. Discovery Dispersal, 2 of. It's twofold. 1, it's that Surveil and Draw card, which is handy. 2, if we've got to get rid of the biggest thing on the battlefield, we're at 5 mana, then that's fine. It's a great way to get rid of the biggest thing our opponent has, and maybe, we just get rid of it for a turn, and it helps us a little bit. Of course, it comes back. Or maybe they have to get rid of it altogether. If they've got nothing else in hand, there's always a chance that we might make them bounce it, and then they have to discard it. So that's not a bad thing to have. A definite 4 of Brazen Borrower. As you can see, another fairy rogue. Like I said, a lot of fairies are rogues in Throne of Eldraine and other sets. And the Borrower is the Borrower. I think early on a lot of people weren't sure, is this really worth the mythic? Yeah, it turns out it is. An ability to bounce a non-land permanent and then flash this in whenever you want. You can play it anytime. Fantastic. Love the Borrower. Audacious Thief. I mean, if you can swing with him. Yeah, drawing a card. Another card draw engine in a deck that's not... It's got some card draw, but it's not overwhelmed with it. That's solid. And again, another rogue. Another rogue is Bloodthirsty Aerialist. It is mainly here because it's a 2/3 flyer. You will see it in a lot of decks, a lot of the Orzhov Life Gain decks. And it just goes nutty. It's not going to do that in this deck. Most of the time, it's going to be a 2/3 flyer. It's here because it's a 2/3 flyer. It's also a rogue. There are a few lands, not many, that gain life. So, if you can play that, then play the aerialist, then play the land, great. You'll bump up the aerialist a little bit. But you're not playing the aerialist to make it go off like you do in a life gain deck. Here is the one thing that I love playing in all my tribal decks and just makes things tick. It's Icon of Ancestry. You give all rogues +1/+1. That's fantastic. Now, I was mentioning about being able to pump up Metropolis Sprite. The beauty of Icon, let's just go back up to Metropolis Sprite. It makes Metropolis Sprite a 2/3. So you could pay 2 blue to turn Metropolis Sprite into a 4/1 because of Icon. That's pretty handy. Also, Icon again is another bit of card advantage. I mean, you can pay 3, spin the wheel, look for a rogue, and chances are good you're going to hit one. And the other thing one other card I talked about, another mythic in Throne of Eldraine that's just great to have, and that's Rankle, Master of Pranks. It's not as crucial to have, so it's just a 3 of as opposed to a 4 of. Because it's legendary, you know, like Robber the Rich, not legendary, so you can have multiples out. Rankle is, so that's why it's a 3 of. Just great card. Sometimes you don't want to do any of those things. You don't want to discard a card. You don't want to lose life and draw a card. Although most times you do. A lot of times you don't want to sacrifice a creature, but sometimes you're willing to sacrifice one because you can see that it'll cripple your opponent more than it'll cripple you. So, Rankle also, you know, you play him, attack, and the next turn you attack again. Well, if you've attacked early on with the Robber of the Rich, you're now maybe at 4 or 5 mana. And the Robber of the Rich found something and put it into exile that you can access. Well, now suddenly you can cast that. You can cast a 4 or 5 mana spell that your opponent had. Oof. Now you're off to the races. 3 islands, 5 swamps, 1 mountain. There's our life gain, the Dismal Backwater. 4 rare graves, 4 steam vents, 3 temples of Epiphany, and a blood crypt. So, you know, a decent amount of red just for the robber, because we want to find that red early on as much as possible. And I've rarely seen us get stuck for swamps. To me, it's rarely happened. We usually do pretty well because black is the only thing that we have doubles of, and that's the aerialist. And the double blue too for borrower. Again, we don't get stuck. They all work pretty well. Sideboard. Yeah, if you've got to deal with stuff your opponents are doing, duress for sure is nice. I like the 1 mana versus the 2. You could have Thought Erasure in here, but I lean more towards duress. Shock is great. Aether Gust, solid card for dealing with red and green decks. The 4th Faerie Duelist. The single Faerie Vandal. I don't have any Faerie Vandals. Again, a Faerie Rogue. Because I don't have a lot of additional card draw. A little bit, but not a lot. But I've got one here just in case. Legion's End. That's a great way to deal with, if your opponent's got a lot of low CMC creatures and you want to deal with them. I've got multiples of the same one. Fry is great if you're playing blue and white creatures and planeswalkers. Then you got the Lava Coil, also fantastic. Murderous Rider, solid. And if you got a game that's going super long, Agent of Treachery, also a rogue. So, another nice one to play. Murderous Rider, unfortunately, he's a knight. But Agent of Treachery, he is a rogue, so he's worth playing. So, there we go, folks. that is Rogues Gallery in Standard, focusing on my boy, Robert the Rich, Robin Hood himself. Which, by the way, that's just a funky outfit he's got on. I mean, they got the hood, but anyways, it's kind of cool. I haven't really taken... I'd always take as close a look at the art as I should. But that's nice. All right, so that is Rogues Gallery in Standard. I hope you check out our website for more of the things that we're doing, jankyardmtg.com. Click like and subscribe to this video here, right down below. And also make sure to hit that notification bell so you get notified next time we post a video. We have several other deck techs. Feel free to check them out. Also, remember to catch our stream. We stream every Wednesday and every Sunday, twitch.tv/jankyardmtg. We also stream on other days, and sometimes the odd Saturday. So if we are going to stream on other days, we'll let you know. We'll also let you know when we're starting on Wednesdays and Sundays, and that all happens at Jankyard MTG on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. So you can find our updates. Subscribe to us on social media, and we'll give you updates when we're ready to go live. So that's it for Rogues Gallery. I hope you enjoyed this deck tech. Let me know what you think about it. If you've got some ideas on how you might want to change it. We're always interested in tweaking and upgrading our decks. So thank you once again for checking this deck out, and we will talk to you soon.